Hey y'all, it's Morning Label Nina, Morning Label Discussions, and I'm excited over, I know the intro to the video is about a collab series that Unfiltered Lucky, sorry Lucky, Unfiltered Lucky and I are going to be doing. We're going to start it off with Elliot Rodger, but the series is going to be more the incel movement. And it's not just based on Elliot Rodger, it's actually going to be based on the incel movement itself. So I'm really looking forward to that with Unlucky Filtered. Sorry, Unfiltered Lucky. Love you, Lucky. Anyway, oh Lord. This video has taken me days to get up the nerve to make. And out of all the panels I've been on, the lives I've done, the videos I've made myself to where I'm just comfortable and at ease doing it, this one scares me. This one, I'm nervous. This one, I want to make sure that I have every point, every T crossed, every I dotted, and I know that that's not possible. And so I've really been struggling with making this video. Other creators are putting out the videos with the, alternate suspects and, with the defense strategy, and because that's probably the only way they can go, because I think that the alibi defense, I don't even think it's in question or, anything like that. But the alternate suspect is probably one of the only ways that defense can go. But out of respect for that, I wanted to do one as Kohberger being the only suspect. And Unfiltered Lucky, being the mentor that he is, he challenged me because he told me that when he and other people that are not of the same opinion question someone like me about why I feel that he's guilty, that we can't just lay out why we think he's guilty and how we think he did it. And that it's just, okay, he's guilty. Look at the evidence they've got, So I really wanted to go with that and explain how I got to my opinion and how I got to, I guess, my theory, my narrative, my whatever it is, because nobody knows unless they're there. And so here goes my effort to do that, okay? I am not going to say that I am a guilter, because Gilter and Kohberger, that's just division, okay? All anybody has is speculation. So this is my opinion, my speculations, my research. It means nothing, okay? I mean, it's not going to be used in court. It's not going to be the prize winner or anything like that. It is only my opinion. I believe that Xana was the target, and I have videos explaining why I think Xana was the target. And the big deal that I have with the DoorDash driver and Kohberger being there like at the same time. And I believe that Xana is the one that said someone's here, but I think it was more of a question maybe because I, in my opinion, and that's the last time I'm going to say that, everything from here on out is my opinion. Because if I keep having to say that, I'm going to lose my train of thought. So, one last time, in my opinion, these are not stern facts, these are not factual statements, opinion. I think that she heard the DoorDash knock on the door, leave the food, but heard a noise. Was going down the hallway, is somebody here? You know, and maybe got a text or something saying that the DoorDash had arrived. Now, I do know that it said that the DoorDash was ordered on a gift card or something like that. I haven't even dove into that. All I know is supposedly there's a DoorDash delivery. That's where my theory starts. My theory is there's somebody here. Is there somebody here? And she opens the door to get the DoorDash. And, you know, they leave it like either in a chair or sitting on the ground. And that when she bent over to pick up the DoorDash, I believe that he put the knife to her throat and led her down the hall to the bedroom where Ethan was probably passed out. Now, after drinking and everything, once you pass out from drinking, you know, they say there's one molecule difference between passing out drunk and anesthesia, you know. So, yes, Ethan was a big guy. Yes, he was an athlete. Yes, he could have fought him. If anybody has ever been passed out drunk, you're going to wake up in a stupor, okay? So, I think that he had other plans for Xana, but when they got to the bedroom, it startled Ethan awake. Not awake. It startled him moving around, okay? And that at that moment, it was make decision time because now there's two of them, okay? And so he probably took care of Xana's neck and immediately went to the bed where Ethan is in a stupor. And if you remember Xana's bed, the head of her bed is where Ethan's head, you know, at the head of the bed, is up against the wall where the fluid is supposedly coming down on the outside. We know that that was an old rickety house. No disrespect to anyone. So I think that he just took care of Ethan with no fight, no nothing, because of the stupor that Ethan was probably in, coming out of, you know, a deep sleep, if nothing else. And that with Ethan's head being right there, that it just went down to where it went down to. And the thing about it is the floors, they could have been uneven and everything. And so, you know, instead of the fluids running like out into the hallway or something, they could have run like down more towards the baseboards and stuff to where it stayed in the bedroom. So on his way out, I think he realizes that the girls have probably heard him upstairs, okay? And if you'll remember, Steve G made the statement, he did not have to go upstairs. He did not have to go upstairs. But I think that he is in panic mode because nothing went the way that he wanted it to go. And he hears the dog barking and everything going on. And he goes upstairs. The girls are in the bed. Maddie, we know, was pretty intoxicated, so I'm going to assume that Maddie was probably passed out. So it was probably him and Kaylee. Now, we do know that by the window where Maddie had her desk, that part of the wall is cut out. So that pretty much lets us know that blood spatter and stuff like that is over on that wall. So you know there was a struggle. You know Kaylee fought. And so the big question is, how did the sheath get in between Maddie and Kaylee if he had already used it downstairs, right? I totally understand that. And I'm probably going to have to make another video that's more along the lines of my psychological research and stuff like that I found. This is strictly just, I guess, the nuts and bolts of it, you know. I believe, in my opinion, that he placed it there. I believe that he was so arrogant enough and so sure of himself enough that he felt he could taunt and leave something there that he never imagined had just a little bit, you know, maybe some skin cells that could lead back to him. And I have another video talking about why he would go from a state with no death penalty and has the insanity plea to a state totally opposite. And I'm not going to go into all that because that's more along the psychological of why I believe he left the sheath there. But I believe that that was intentional. And so placed being the word I think defense used, I can probably go with that. That could be the reason she said that. Why else would she say it was placed there? I mean, not even going to get into all the conspiracies and everything with law enforcement and all that. This is my opinion of him being guilty, okay? So he has the girls upstairs taken care of, and he's coming back down the stairs, and he hears whimpering, okay? Now, why would Xana be whimpering when she's supposed to be unalived, dead? So obviously, he goes back to her room to find out about the whimpering. Well, when he walks in, this is probably the most sadistic part of it, is the statement, "Here to help, I'm going to help." I'm not going to say word for word what it was because nobody knows word for word. I do not believe Dylan even knows the exact wording. So I'm not going to try to do the exact wording. But what it boils down to is he looked, in my opinion, at a just fatally wounded Xana and tried to give her some kind of false hope of he's going to help her. And then took her life. And I think that's when you hear the thud and he comes out of the room, and that's when Dylan sees him and he leaves. Okay? Now, that's the nuts and bolts of it. I think he got Xana picking up the DoorDash, put the knife to her throat, carried her to her room, had other plans, had to make decisions based on other people now knowing that somebody's in the house, and did totally opposite of everything that he had planned to do. I do not believe that he went in that house to murder 4, 5, 6 people. I think he went into that house with one target, one plan and one exit, and that's it. And that when everything went wrong, his mentality went wrong, and everything else was chaos. Then it was just get the F out of there. Now, I'm not going to go into the 8 hours. I guess I have to go into the 8 hours because, that's part of how I think that one person did it and how he's guilty, I believe that when he left the house, that Dylan, in the dark, ran downstairs, got in the bed with Bethany, they locked the door, and they fell asleep. First thing you're going to say is some stranger leaves the house and she's just going to go downstairs, climb in the bed, and go to sleep. I don't believe it. Totally 100% agree with you. I believe that Bethany was in her room, Dylan was in her room, they were texting back and forth. What the heck is going on? Well, Ethan and the frat guys got into a fight, and now I guess they've all come over here to, finish fighting with Ethan and everything. And, so Miss Chapin herself said that Bethany went to the bottom of the stairs on the first floor. She yelled up the stairs to the second floor, to STFU, okay, to Ethan and the frat guys, okay? Now, if you have Bethany that is making the statement that she yelled up the stairs for them to shut up and stop being so noisy, because Miss Chapin also said that the girls heard the rummaging of furniture, they heard the yelling, they heard the fighting, okay? So if Bethany thinks that the frat guys are just fighting with Ethan as a normal fight, no kind of murder, no kind of killing, no kind of stabbing, no kind of nothing like that, just a fight, and she goes back to her room and does not call 911, to me, that could be exculpatory evidence in favor of Kohberger, because they weren't scared enough to call 911, so obviously it wasn't some mass stranger that came through and slaughtered their 4 friends, And so with that, I think that's how Bethany got brought in, to maybe have an exculpatory evidence, because she came out of her room, she yelled up the stairs, she went back to her room and did not call 911. So that's how I believe when it starts out, it's talking about that Dylan originally went to bed in her room, okay? Well, you don't originally do something unless you change it. And I think that's how it got turned around about them being on the first floor, because they were on the first floor after it happened. Now, yeah, I know the first thing you're going to say too is, what about the smells? They couldn't stay in that house. What about the smells? I've done my research on that also. I have talked to so many people that actually go in and clean the crime scenes. I've talked to medical examiners. I mean, I've done the research. And that it does not immediately have to happen all the time. The smells and stuff like that it could take hours sometimes for the smell. It's according to how full and everything the body is. So if it happened on the second floor, and I figure he left the sliding door open because he's not going to risk fingerprints or anything like that, and she immediately goes downstairs to the first floor, and they shut the door, that smell is not going to waft downstairs. It's going to waft around the corner to go out the slider. So Dylan gets up the next morning, and I do not have the VSCO where somebody said that Dylan posted a picture on her VSCO account at like 11:18 that morning. If she's posting on that account at 11:18, do you think that she's really thinking that her 4 friends are upstairs dead? Sometimes, you have to have a little bit of logic. And I'm not saying that everybody else is not smart or anything like that. Some of the smartest people I've ever known. So, mad respect to everyone. But she goes upstairs maybe to just, oh my gosh, what's the house look like with the fight? I mean, I wonder what all's broke. I mean. And when she goes upstairs, I can't say what she saw, but she saw something. And there's 2 ways that this could go, and I can't confirm it either way because some of the research says that Hunter came up on his own because Ethan was supposed to meet him at the gym. So he came to see where Ethan was. Other research is that Dylan called Hunter, okay? Now, everybody wants to make the big deal over so many people being there, okay? The thing about it is everybody knows everything is walking distance. So if Hunter comes on his own out of concern for Ethan, then he's probably talked to somebody or somebody's overheard it, so that gossip could be already starting. If Dylan calls and he's at the frat house and he's like, what do you mean? What do you mean get over there? There's something wrong. I got to get in Ethan's door. What are you talking about? And there's 15 frat guys standing there. And he leaves and goes to the house. Well, now you've got 15 frat guys talking to 15 more frat guys, talking to 15 sorority girls. And so while they are over there at King Road, you've got the fraternities and the sororities playing telephone or Snapchat. Now, I believe that when Ethan got there, that they could not get the door open because Xana was up against the door, okay? And it could have been locked. It could have been anything, okay? But we all know that ladder has been laying down ever since the dawn days of time. It's been laying on the ground. And that day, it is standing up. That's too weird for me. So I think that Hunter climbed the ladder, got on the ledge, saw enough in Xana's window through the blinds, and yelled, call 911, and that's when 911 was called. Now, while they're on the phone with 911, it talks about that, different people's on the phone. So you've got Dylan that's passing out. So there she goes. You've got Bethany that's hyperventilating. Well, there she goes. Well, now you've got Hunter that has just saw something that he never will get out of his head. So he can't talk. Well, then it said that one of the neighbors picked up the phone and talked and called for called because they're passing out and they're hyperventilating. And so there's the paramedics coming. Why you need paramedics for 4 dead people? And no disrespect saying it like that. And I that sounded disrespectful, and I'm sorry. But I have the, I guess, the Idaho law or whatever, that when EMS gets to a crime scene, if there is no doubt whatsoever that the person at that crime scene is expired, the police do not allow them into the house to protect the crime scene. Because I know that's one of the big things is, why didn't EMS go in? Why didn't EMS go in? 8 hours later, you can guarantee that they know those bodies are expired. So police did not let EMS in. EMS left. Okay? Everybody making the deal of, you don't know how many people was through that house. You don't know how many people tramped through there. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think anybody did. Because the first officer that comes up makes the statement that everybody was standing outside. Also, the picture of everybody sitting on the ground and the police standing over them, and they've got like the emergency blankets on. I think I counted 5. Well, if you've got Hunter, you've got Maisie, you've got Hunter, you've got Dylan, you've got Bethany. There's 5. We know that by this point, Jack D had walked over, So, was there really that many people at that house? I don't think so. I think there were people there, but I don't think that it's anything like everybody wants to make it out to be, where everybody was just tramping through the blood, tramping through the house, just contaminating the whole crime scene. I honestly believe, in my opinion, that they haven't even thought about Kaylee and Maddie possibly being up there unalived. I think everybody's in such shock over Xana and Ethan that, and I'm not saying that they were an afterthought or anything like that. I just think that it was everybody was in shock. And so then you want to go into the whole, well, they had to clean up the mess. You can't clean up that kind of mess. There's no way. I did a video on luminol, on any kind of everything that there is. And you can have a crime scene that is absolutely pristine and spotless until they turn that black light on. And then it looks like a Christmas tree. There is no way, no possible way that crime scene could have been cleaned. Now, where I go with that is we're going to go back to the passing out and the hyperventilating. You don't pass out and hyperventilate if you've been cleaning a crime scene for 8 hours. If you have been dumping drugs for 8 hours. If you have been covering your ass for 8 hours. If you have been getting your story straight for 8 hours. You pass out and you hyperventilate when it's, oh shit, what has happened? Y'all, I'm sorry, but you can't fake passing out. You can't fake hyperventilating, not to that degree. Golly, there's so much. So, and I'm trying to keep everything straight in my head, and I get just so ahead of myself. Okay, so we know that when they were going to tear the house down, that Steve G and them put out a statement. And in that statement, just one little bitty line, it talks about, what about the vantage point from the other cameras? What? We only have a camera of 1112. What vantage point? Then he does an interview with Banfield, and he's talking about that he has seen the footage of where he parked, how long he was there, and that tearing the house down, that they're not going to be able to see what he saw when he was sitting on that hill. They're not going to see how he went down and got in the house. That, there's things that they're not going to see with the house being torn down. So, my question is, because we do know that they don't have to put everything in the PCA, which, in my opinion, we do not have a PCA. We have Exhibit A. Now, I don't know why we have Exhibit A, Brett Payne, and Exhibit A with Blaker, it should be Exhibit A and Exhibit B, but that's neither here nor there. I think the PCA is sealed, so there's a lot of stuff that we don't know, and they only have to put enough in there to get the warrants. So, in my opinion, 1112 would not see the girls getting out of the private driver's vehicle. 1112 would not see the girls going in the house. 1112 wouldn't see the car doing a 3-point turn, trying to park in front of 1122. Okay? It might see some headlights picking up from, down the road or something like that, but the only camera that would see every vantage point is 1126. If 1126 has a camera, it would be facing the patio, it would be facing that back parking lot, and in between 1112 and 1122, there's a vantage point that shows straight to the parking lot and the road of 1122 King Road. It would pick up the car doing the 3-point turn. It would pick up the cars passing the house. It would pick up trying to park at 1122. It would pick up everything. Everything. So, just my opinion. Talking about cameras. Coming from Pullman across the highway, I think it's Highway 8, when it gets into Idaho. If you turn right on Washington Street, which is Highway 95, that's Washington Street, which is also Highway 95. You go straight in front of Umpqua Bank at Washington Street and 6th Street, okay? And in the 769 pages of warrants, you see the bank warrant, and I thought, more financials, until I read it. And it's actually sent to FedEx and the bank for the security cameras. So the security cameras at Umpqua Bank at 6th Street and Washington Street, I believe, has a really good view. Okay, so there's one. 1112, excellent view. The UPS truck camera, I think that got him. So that's just, let's say 1126, if there's a camera. 1112, we know there's a camera. Umpqua Bank, we know there's a camera. UPS truck, we know there's a camera. So that's the 4 that I'm going strictly off of, because I believe it in my gut. I've researched it, I've looked at it, and I think that that's great vantage points. When they did when they went to his apartment, one of the 2 of the items, Walmart receipt with a Dickies tag on top of the Walmart receipt. Now, if he purchased Dickies anything from Walmart with the tag and the receipt, where are they at? Where are the Dickies shoes? Where's the Dickie coveralls? Where's the Dickies button-up shirt? Where's the Dickies pants? Where's the Dickies ball cap? Where's anything Dickies? Because wasn't in his apartment, wasn't in his car, wasn't in his mom and daddy's house, wasn't on his person. So, where's it at? If y'all can answer that and tell me where the Dickies are, I'm good. So, let's talk about the car. And y'all notice I've got notes. The car. Everybody's like 22,000 white Elantras. Well, come to find out, 22,000 white Elantras is for the state of Washington and the state of Idaho, okay? In the research, there's like 92 white Elantras and 87, I think, white Elantras. And all of these are verified and registered parking permits for the universities, okay? So between both just the cities and stuff like that, as far as like the parking and, verifiable things that you can research, I'm going to go with maybe 250, okay, white Elantras from 2011 to 2016. Because, y'all, I think you're getting a really, really, really caught up in this 2011 to 2013, because 2011 to 2016, same body style, same everything. They did not change until 2017. The only thing that they did in those times was maybe cosmetics, a different fog light, a different tail light, a different, something like that. To where, when you're looking at it on a camera or something like that, maybe you could mistake it. I mean, come on. 2011 to 2013, and he ends up with 2015. Okay. So, if there's only 250, let's break this down. Work with me here. 250 white Elantras. How many on that night are driven by only male? Break that down. How many on that night are alone? Male. Break that down. How many are in a car with a phone turned off? No phone working, no nothing. It's just there. How many cars in the whole world right now has a phone in it that's not on? Most everybody's phone is on if it's in the car. Okay? So we have male, alone, phone off, in that area, caught on camera, DNA on a knife sheath, in between two dead bodies. What's the chances? I mean, I'm not being ugly. I'm not being facetious. Just what's the chances of, I'm a single male, I'm in my car, I'm around that area, my phone's turned off, and my DNA's in between two dead bodies. So y'all don't see how he could be a suspect? So that would answer my questions as far as the car goes. Okay, everybody says there's no evidence, okay? 15,691 pages of discovery. 15,691 pages of discovery. 13,000 photos. 8,000 video clips of cameras from 10 homes. 285 police interviews. 417 files of phone records. They have data from 17 phones. They have data from 11 computers. They have data from God only knows whose social media. They have the CAS data, which, from the way I understand, the CAS data that got turned in is not in Kohberger's favor. And from what I understand, I mean, don't y'all think it's weird that Cy Ray just disappeared? Because if you'll remember, he reserved the right to change his mind when everything came in. And now there's no Cy Ray. The AT&T phone records. if you really read those search warrants, I mean, we're talking, it gets down to the nitty gritty of what they're wanting as far as the GPS and the towers and how far away from here it was and how far away from there it was. So between the AT&T records, the CAS data, Albertson's groceries, you know, the big secret is he's caught on camera inside the store, but nobody knows what he bought. I think he bought bandages. Let's see, what else? I don't know. The screams. And I asked permission before I did this. A.R. Hayes, A Convict's Thoughts, one of his earlier videos, he is talking about him at visitation, or anyway, he's talking about him getting stabbed, okay? And that when he had to watch the video, that he realized that he didn't make a sound. He didn't scream. He didn't make a sound. Well, then he also goes into talking about an inmate going into another inmate's cell, and you know what's going on, but there's no screaming. And I think he tells like 2 or 3 different stories of that, explaining that there could be no sounds during a stabbing. Now, we all know that AR tells his prison stories, and he's full, open, transparent about it. That's the reason that I asked him if I could bring his video up, because I think that it's a very powerful statement when he's explaining the no screaming, the no sounds of people getting stabbed. I don't know. I mean, I'm going to have to make another video, and I'm going to have to do follow-ups and everything. I mean, because there's so much that I have in my head, and I guess I need to do an outline. So anyway, I hope that has pretty much laid out how I think it was done, why I think the way that I do, and why I have the opinion that I do. Now, what I want to say to everyone is respect one another's opinions. Listen to opinions with an open mind. Most of the chats that I go in and the lives I go in are pro-burgers, and I hate that word. But you can ask any of them. I'm never disrespectful. I'm never poking fun at them. I'm never saying, you're crazy, you're stupid, anything like that. I mean, one of them even told me that I was the only guilter that she liked, Heather Fitzgerald. I mean, so we can all get along and have different opinions. Unfiltered Lucky is my mentor. We're doing a collab together. We talk every day. And he has an entirely different opinion than I do. And we can debate it. We can argue it every day. And it doesn't affect our friendship. It doesn't affect who we are as people, how we treat each other. So we can have differences of opinions, because that's all any of us have. And I'll do some more videos, because I found some interesting stuff, but it's more along the psychological of it. And again, I'm welcoming comments, to question me, to comment disagreement. All I ask, be respectful. That's all I ask. So, Morning Label Nina, Morning Label Discussions. I look forward to your comments, and I'll put another video out today. It will be video number 2, as far as why I think that he is the person. Thank you.